Hi everyone, this is Aga from EurekaCrystalBeads.com and I'm here with another fun beading tutorial for you. But before I get started, don't forget to check out the rest of our channel, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss any other fun tutorial. In this video, I'll show you how to make this pendant that I called the Hummingbird Garden Pendant, and the name comes from the fact that the supplies that I used to make this, the beads, the cabochon, and even the veil, come from our May 2025 beads collection called the Featherlight Dance Collection. And as you can see, the inspiration picture for this collection is this lovely hummingbird in what I assume could be a garden. So yeah, that's where the name comes from. And as you can see, the supplies that I use, these are not all of the supplies from the collection, but the ones that I use match this palette very well and kind of reflect the general vibe of this picture very well. So you can find a link to this collection and to all of the supplies today in the description down below. Meanwhile, let me briefly discuss each of the different kinds of beads that you're going to need to make this. So to make one pendant, you're either going to need one Featherlight Dance Collection from Eureka Crystal Beads, needle and thread, or the following supplies. You're going to need one 18mm cabochon. This is a Lunasoft Cabochon. It's round, but I do believe you can use any cabochon as long as it's not too convex. Then you're going to need a bail if you're going to use one, because obviously you can just add beads over here and that will be fine. You can make a loop out of beads, but I'm going to use the bail that was in the collection because it's absolutely beautiful. Then when it comes to seed beads, you're going to need some Miyuki Delicas, Miyuki 11-Os, some sort of 15-Os, and I think Toho 15-Os would work here as well. And you're going to need some 6mm bugle beads. Here I have some twisted bugles from Miyuki that are from this gorgeous mix of Miyuki beads that we put in our collection. Technically, you could use 2 3mm bugles as well, and there are 3mm bugles in the collection, so you can try that. And that's it for the seed beads. When it comes to other supplies, you're going to need some crystal pearls or any other pearls that are 3mm. You're going to need some 4mm bicones, only 6 of them, but those that come in the collection are so beautiful and vibrant. I'm absolutely sure they're going to pop. Then when it comes to check beads, you're going to need some mini GemDuos and some O-Beads that really are going to do the job in this one as well. So that's quite many different types of beads and supplies, but I think they will work together very well with this color palette. In addition to all of the beads, you're also going to need a needle. I'll be using size 12, but 11 will be also okay. I don't think size 10 will be good because there's quite a lot of passes and some 15-Os, so you might run into issues when you want to perform multiple passes through 15-Os. And with that, I'm also going to use my 6-pound Fairline in the color Crystal. Alright, let's start beading. Alright, so here is the summary of what we're going to be doing. We're going to start in the center here. We're going to do that first circle. Then we're going to do that second circle with the delicas in there. Then we're going to go ahead and add the third one. Then we're going to go in the back and do the back. And finally, we're going to do the bit with the mini GemDuos. First, that first row, and then that second row with the bicones. And that's going to be it. I'm going to start this one with a full wingspan of thread because I don't like adding thread, but I'm still not going to cut off my thread from the spool because if something happens or if I run out of thread, I like to go back to the beginning. And in patterns like this one, it's pretty simple to just go back and continue with your tail thread. So I'm starting with a full wingspan of thread, which means that if you extend both of your hands to the sides, that is how much thread you are going to want to use. All right, without further ado, I'm starting with a mini GemDuo and a bugle bead, and I'm going to do this 6 times. Oh, and pay attention to which side the mini GemDuos are facing because you want them facing the same way, so they have a flat back and a slightly convex front, and you just want all of them to be facing the same way. I'm going to slide them all down my thread. Now I'm going to pass through all of those beads again, making a circle. So if you started with a mini GemDuo, you want to pass through it first now as well. So the same way that you first put them on your thread. You pull it together. There, and at this point the ends of your thread should meet, so you can tie a knot so that nothing moves, nothing slips or slides. Alright, I tied my knot. Now I'm going to hide it in that mini GemDuo by going through it. This is the one that I started with, as well as through the next 6mm bugle. And you want to be exiting that 6mm bugle. Now I'm going to put on 4 delica beads, and I'm gonna backstitch them to that bugle. So I'm going back to the side of the bugle that I entered through, and I'm just going through it. And this is going to place the delicas directly underneath that bugle. You want to go through the next mini GemDuo and the next bugle and do the same thing. So you pick up 4 delica beads and you go back through that same bugle, just like that. And you do that 6 times all around. These are my last 4 delicas, and as I add them on, I'm going to pass through them again from the side where my thread is coming out of, just like that. And note that I'm holding my work with the mini GemDuos facing upwards. So this is going to be the front, and this is going to be touching the cabochon. Alright, so I'm coming out of these 4 delica beads. I'm gonna pick up a bugle now. And I'm just going to attach it like so to the delicas. So basically almost the same thing. Like that. I'm gonna make sure that the bugle is under the delicas. I'm going to go through the bugle now. Again. And now I'm gonna pick up a single delica and pass through the second free hole of the mini GemDuo that's next to it. Just like that. Now I'm going to pick up a delica and a bugle, and I'm gonna look at the next section here with the 4 delicas. So this is going to go like this. So what I need to do is to pass through the next 4 delicas backwards again. Like that, and now I'll go forward just through the bugle. So I'm skipping this delica that I added that connects the bugle to the mini GemDuo, and I'm just going through the bugle now. Now adding a single delica and passing through the second hole of the mini GemDuo that's next. Delica and bugle again, and back through the next 4 delica beads, just like so. Now just through that bugle. Make sure you pull tight now and again. Adding a single delica and through the mini GemDuo. And again, you do that all around. Alright, so the front of my bezel is ready. As you can see, I added 1 last delica to connect to the first bugle that I added. And now before we go to finish the back and bezel our cabochon, we want to do one last little thing. which is we're going to add 3 delicas above each mini GemDuo around. So I'm just going to pick up 3 delicas and basically just going through the entire row, but skipping mini GemDuos. So I'm just passing through the next sequence of delica, bugle, delica, and they just place themselves like this. 3 delicas again, and just going through the next sequence. This also strengthens this entire last row. With the final 3, I want my thread to be coming out in the back, so I'm just making sure that I go through the delica, bugle, delica, and come out in the back of the first 3 that I added. As you can see, this has become a little bit convex as well, which is going to be perfect for our bezel. Look how pretty this is going to look. Alright, now we're gonna go to the back. We're gonna leave those 3s of delicas alone for now, and we're just going to use the sequences of delica, bugle, delica to finish our bezel. So you just want to focus on that. You're not gonna focus on the 3s of delicas or the mini GemDuos or anything else, just the delica, bugle, delica. And we're gonna start the back by picking up the entire sequence of delica, bugle, 3 11-0s, bugle, and delica. And you're gonna look where your thread is coming out towards. And it's the next delica, bugle, delica sequence on this side that we're gonna use. So I'm passing through the entire sequence here of 3 beads back towards where my thread is coming out of. This is how these beads will be attached. Now I pick up a single delica and I'm going back up through this bugle towards the 11-0s, just like that, so that the bugle is connected to the beadwork with 2 beads on 2 sides. Now I'm going down through the 3 11-0s and the bugle, picking up 1 delica, and passing forward through the next 3 beads, delica, bugle, delica, in this way connecting this bugle on the other side. Delica, bugle, 3 11-0s now, and I'm going back down through that previous bugle, as well as the delica and the 3 beads in the beadwork below. So just like that, going forward the same way that I was going before. Now I'm going to go up the delica and the bugle that I previously added. I pick up 3 11-0s, bugle, and 1 delica, going through the next sequence here, passing through the 3 beads. Now I can add the 1 missing delica to connect this previous bugle. So I just add the delica and go up the bugle. Pulling tight. Now, just like in the beginning, I'm going through the 3 11-0s and the bugle, picking up a single delica and going forward through the next sequence. Adding the next delica, bugle, 3 11-0s, and down through the previous bugle, and delica as well while I'm at it, because we're going to be going forward through that same sequence of delica, bugle, delica as before, up through this delica, bugle, adding 3 11-0s, a bugle, and a delica, and going back through the next sequence so that I can add my single delica here to connect this bugle. Now I'm going to pass through the 3 11/0 and this bugle down. I'll add my last delica here. Pass through this next sequence below. And at this point, it's a good moment to add the cabochon. Put it inside. It's not going to be a very tight bezel, but it's going to work just fine. Now what I need to do now is to first go up through the first bugle here, the delica and the bugle, because we're still missing 3 11/0 on top over here. So I'm going down this bugle again, and the delica underneath it. I'm going to go forward the same sequence again. And I'm going to pass up this bugle to further tighten our bezel a little bit. And I'm going to do this by going through the 2 of the 3 11/0 on whichever side here. Now I'm going to tighten it up a little bit, and to do that, I'm going to connect the middle 11/0 with a delica bead. So I'm just going to pass through each middle 11/0 and connect them with the delicas. Now, if you're using a cabochon that's more convex, that has a little bit more rounding here in the front, you may want to use just 11/0, not to tighten it up that much. But I'm going to use delica since this cabochon is quite flat. Now to tighten it up a little bit more, because as you can see, it's holding the cabochon, but it's still a little bit loose, which is not a problem, but I'm going to go through just the delicas that I added to bring them forward a little bit more. So I'm just passing through the delicas and I'm skipping the 11/0 altogether. Alright, and that's our bezel. Now to start the next row, I'm going to go down these 11/0 and these bugles to finally reach that outer row. And you're going to want to pass through all of the beads for your thread to finally come out of these 3 beads on top of the mini GemDuo. And that's where you want to start the new row. What you want to pick up now is O-Bead, mini GemDuo, O-Bead, mini GemDuo, O-Bead, mini GemDuo, O-Bead. So you have 4 O-Beads and 3 mini GemDuos. And you want to pay attention to where your thread is coming out of so that you pick up those GemDuos in the right way so that they face the front, because what we're going to do is we're going to go around these 3 and through the same 3 beads again, just like that. There's 1 bead left for me to pass through. I think only I'm in the back, so I just need to pass through this 1 more bead there. So my thread is coming out of the same bead that it was when I started. Pull it tight. This is what you get. Now you go through all of those beads 1 more time so that you exit the last O-bead. If they get a little bit loose, you just need to tighten them up. And what you're going to pick up now is 15/0 bugle 15/0 and the entire sequence that you added here. So 4 O-beads and 3 mini GemDuos, and you're picking them up the same way as these ones. And you're going to the next 3 delicas in the direction in which your thread is coming out in. And you go back through the 3 in the same way as before. And this is how the beads are going to position themselves. Now you're gonna go through the O-beads and the mini GemDuos again. Until you reach that last O-bead. And again, you pick up 15 Bugle 15 in the entire sequence with O-beads and mini GemDuos. You go to the next sequence of 3 delicas, pass through them, just like that. Make sure you pull tight, and through the O-beads and the mini GemDuos again. And you do that 6 times in total. This was my last sequence of O-beads in mini GemDuos. Now I only have to add the missing bugle in between the last and the first one. 15 Bugle 15, and am passing through the first O-bead and the first mini GemDuo in this next sequence. This is where I step up to the top hole of the mini GemDuo, and I'm ready to start the new row. And we're gonna do that first by adding the 4mm bicone in between the last GemDuo of this sequence and the first GemDuo of this one. So now we're going to just connect the holes of the mini GemDuos, and as we do this, the entire beadwork is going to get kind of convex, kind of rounded, which I think is a really nice effect. I tried it flat, but it always ended up, soft and a little bit wavy, so I really like that it gets a little bit rounded and more tense in this way. In between the GemDuos in the sequences of 3s, we're going to add a 15, then our 3mm pearl and a 15, connecting to the next free hole of the next mini GemDuo, just like that. Another 15 pearl 15, going down the next free hole of the mini GemDuo. Now the bicone, proceeding up to the next sequence of mini GemDuos, just like that. And you just go around adding pearls and bicones until you've made a full circle. Alright, I've added all of my pearls and my bicones, and it already looks like some sort of a magic garden, so it looks quite nice. You can leave it at that, just add a bail and you'll be done. Meanwhile, I am going to add some more of that light green that we have in here. So I'm going to add some of that licas and some of the gold that we already added in the back here, but I want some of it at least here in the front as well. So I'm actually going to start. As you can see, I went through the mini GemDuo and the 15 pearl 15 as well. So I'm kind of on top of that middle mini GemDuo in the 3 here. And what I'm gonna do is actually first attach my bail. So what I pick up are 4 delica beads. And then my bail, I just make sure that it's facing the front. So this is the front with that little loop at the bottom facing the front. So I'm gonna go through it and through the 15 pearl 15 on the other side here. We're going to reinforce this and make it a little bit nicer the second time we pass through. So right now I just want to place it like this. Now I'm going to pass through the next mini GemDuo, the last one in the 3 here as well. And on top of the bicone, we're going to add a delica 11 delica. And I'm just going to pass through the first mini GemDuo in the next series of 3. And these 3 beads, they're going to want to go anywhere but the top of the bicone. but we're going to straighten that up and make them stay here. The next time we pass, now I'm going to pass through the 15 purl 15, and on top of each next middle mini GemDuo, I'm going to add 2 delicas, and we're going to add an 11, a gold 11 next time we pass through here, but we just want them to be a nice picot, so first I'm adding just 2 through the last mini GemDuo, and again delica 11 delica through the mini GemDuo on the other side, and just sort of roughly positioning them on top of that bicone. Through the 15 purl 15, and on top here I'm adding 2 delica beads through 15 purl 15, down the last mini GemDuo, and so on and so forth until you make a full circle. Alright, I've made a full circle. These were the last 3 beads in this row. Now I am again going to pass through the first 15 purl 15, and I've reached my bail. I'm going to go through the first delica bead in that sequence of 4 that I previously added, and I'm going to pick up a 15, and I'm going to put it in between this delica and the next 2. So I'm passing through 2 delicas that are inside the bail, and this is going to make this entire sequence a little bit rectangular. I'm going to pick up a second 15 and pass down through the last delica in the 4. Just like this. We can further reinforce this at the end. Now I'm going through the 15 purl 15. Now to strengthen this entire last row and to make sure that those beads stay on top of the bicone, when you exit the 15 after the last purl here, you're going to add a single delica in between that 15 and the delica on top of the bicone here. Just like this, this should pop right in. Same on the other side here, a single delica and passing through the 15 purl 15. Now I'll pass through one of the 2 delicas on top of the middle mini GemDuo here, and I'm going to add the gold 11 on top in between those delicas. Now a delica in between this 15 and this delica on top of the bicone, through all 3 beads on top of that bicone, and a delica on the other side before I pass through the next 15 purl 15. So you probably get the gist of this last row. You just go all around until you've made a full circle. Alright, I actually ran out of thread, but I kept the tail thread connected to the spool so that I could cut off the right piece to finish the work. So if you want to finish your pendant with just one piece of thread, one continuous piece of thread, it's going to be about 1¼ of wingspan, because I'm just missing this bit here. But I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm just going to pass through the next bugle here. I believe that's the direction I would be going with that thread. Though there is a knot, so technically you can go whichever way you want. I'm gonna go back through the delica beads that are next here. Now through the bugle bead that's underneath, and the delica right after it. Now through the 3 delicas on top of this GemDuo, mini GemDuo that is. And now up through the mini GemDuos and the O-beads. Now what I could do is I could just go back around right here with this GemDuo, but I do want to strengthen my Bezel connection as well, so I'm going to go through all of the O-Beads and mini GemDuos in this 3, one at a time. Now I want to reach that last GemDuo, so I'm just going to go through the O-Bead and go back because that's just easier than going to just the GemDuo. But you want your thread to be exiting this GemDuo here, the mini GemDuo. And I'm going to go right back around through the top hole of that mini GemDuo. Now through the pearl and the 15-0. And I'm just going to go through all of the delicas and 11-0s in here. Right, and I can continue with my last row, just in the other direction, until I finished filling all of the missing spaces. Right, I filled out all of those spaces. All that's left for me to do is to tie a knot, weave in my tail, and the pendant is going to be ready. And here is the finished pendant. I really love how magical it looks, how that Lunasoft gives it a little bit of a magical, mystical glow. I really like how all of those different types of beads work together in this pattern, and look how well it looks with the inspiration picture. It's just a perfect reflection of the vibe of the entire collection, I think. One more little thing that I noticed is I made this prototype with a 4-pound thread, and it is a lot more squishy and flexible. I can even flip this around like that. I mean, if you put it around your neck, it's going to lay just fine like this. But yeah, that's the difference. For this one, you can barely have any squishiness, so to speak. I definitely cannot flip this around. So yeah, that's the difference a thread can make. All of the supplies that I used today can be found at eurekacrystalbeads.com, of course, as well as our Featherlight Dance Collection. The link will be provided down in the description, and on the collection page you also have a list of all the supplies that are included in it, so you can get them separately as well. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!